Hey all, Sean here from Tesla Family. I have loved every part of owning my Tesla for the past 4 years. What I love most though is how much I save by driving electric and not paying for gas. In 2022, I saved over $2,000 in gas savings. Tesla recently updated its mobile app to allow owners to see charging stats and gas savings over the past entire year or each month going back at least a year. In this video, I'll share with you the charge stats and savings for each month and the entire year during 2022. A lot of these savings come from charging using these Tesla solar panels that I've had on my roof for more than 2 years now. In this video, I'll share with you the total amount charged, the estimated distance driven, my total spent on charging, breakouts of where my charging sources come from, estimated gas equivalent cost, and my total gas savings. All right, let's dive in. Okay, before we get into the charging data, let me start out here with a plug for my second year's Tesla solar performance video. In this video, I talk about my Tesla solar panels, which were installed in the summer of 2020. I also talk about adding my Tesla Powerwall in the late summer of 2021, and how I'm still saving over $1,000 a year over my regular electric cost by having Tesla solar panels. Check out this video at the link above. I also recently published this video here, my first year Tesla Powerwall home battery performance. I've got a lot of information in here on my Tesla Powerwall, so if you're interested in Powerwall and Powerwall performance information, definitely check out this video at the link above. All right, so now we're getting into the 2022 charging costs and charging statistics, charging data. What I wanted to do here is I'm going to kind of introduce you into how I'm going to be sharing this with you. Over here on the right is a table with all of the different data points that I'm going to be sharing with you, starting with total amount charged. And I'm going to be sharing this data for you first month by month through the year 2022, and then as an entire year. So we'll start out with total charged, my total spent, my cost per mile. Then we have estimated distance in miles. And I'll explain in the next couple of slides how I calculated that, but here is the equation, because that data point is not included in the Tesla Charging Stats app. I can share with you my percent of home charging and how much I am paying for electricity for home charging, my percent of supercharging on any sort of road trips that I make leaving the house, how much I paid on average for supercharging, my percent of work charging, which was very minimal for 2022, do a lot of teleworking, and the estimated cost there, which is basically the average cost for electricity in Maryland. And then other charging, all of my other charging for the month of 2022 has been free. I'll also share with you the estimated gas equivalent cost, what it would have cost had I had a gas vehicle with an estimated 30 miles per gallon and driven the same amount of miles. That data point is within the Tesla Charge Stats app as a comparison tool compared to my Model 3 with 130 mile per gallon electric equivalent range. I'm also going to share with you the estimated cost per mile for driving a gas vehicle over that same distance, and then my overall gas savings. So let's talk over here on the left screenshot for my Tesla app. This is home charging, supercharger, work, and other. Just breaking down what exactly those mean. Home charging is obviously charging costs that are calculated using my utility rate plan. Again, I'll share with you that very soon on how I calculated that. Supercharging is our supercharging costs that are displayed using my Tesla vehicle's billing data over the time period. Work charging would be, by default, my work charging costs are calculated from the average electricity rate for my region, 13 cents per kilowatt hour. And then other refers to the cost of all charging that occurs at locations except your home, work, or Tesla superchargers. The snapshot in the middle is showing a calculation based on the average monthly gas costs in Maryland for each month in 2022. And that number, that average cost per gallon, is used into these equations. These gas prices are likely the average cost of premium gas as well. What is gas savings? Gas savings are derived from the cost of charging my Tesla vehicle and the estimated cost of gas while driving a comparable gasoline vehicle. Basically, the total spent on charging equals the cost at home plus cost at superchargers plus cost at other locations. And gas savings is an estimate of how much money you save by driving a Tesla as opposed to a comparable gasoline vehicle. How I determined my estimated distance was I used this screen capture here on the left-hand side, which is from a service that I had in February of 2022. The Tesla Charge Stats tab doesn't actually include the miles you've driven, only various other stats that I'll share with you very soon. So I had to calculate an estimated distance that I've driven in a year. To do that, I took this service invoice, 41,981 miles. Then I took the actual odometer number from January 10th, which was 11 months later, and then that totaled 12,883 miles in 11 months, and then I just did an average per month, added on 1 month, and we're at 14,141 miles in a year. Now, the Charge Stats app does show how much energy I used to charge my Model 3 in 2022. I've blocked out another piece of information that I want to have you wait to the end of the video to share with you, but my overall efficiency was calculated by taking the total charged in watt hours divided by my miles. Overall efficiency is the efficiency of the car to operate all operations within the car, including driving and other functions. That was 298 watt hours per mile, or 3.35 miles per kilowatt hour. Moving on to efficiency difference, I took the driving efficiency, divided it by the overall efficiency, and found out that 88% of my energy is used for driving and 12% of my energy on average over an entire year is used for the other functions in the car. To get the estimated difference, I take the total amount charged in kilowatt hours for the time period, multiply it by 88% to pull out how much of that energy was used for driving, multiply that by the driving efficiency in miles per kilowatt hour, and that's how we get estimated distance. In these graphs here, we can see on the left is my net energy produced and used for the time period of November 2021 through November 2022. The middle chart shows my cost for those same months. On the right, we have a snapshot of the impact screen from my Tesla app showing the percentage powered of my home for a 1 year period. I calculated my home charging to cost 8 cents per kilowatt hour, and this is how I arrived at that. In 2022, or for the most part, from November 21 to 2022, my home used 2,224 kilowatt hours from the grid. My home actually used way more than that throughout the year, but this is how much I drew from the grid. Keep in mind, I have solar panels. Most of my home was powered by solar panels last year. My bill for last year was $372 for the year, so I'm calculated that it cost me around 16 cents per kilowatt hour of energy purchased last year. Now, if you don't have solar panels, you would just take that 16 cents per kilowatt hour and you would plug that into your Tesla Charge Stats tab, and then you would get your home charging cost. For me, I wanted to factor in the fact that I have the solar and Powerwall. Here is my impact screen from my 1 year Powerwall performance video, and it shows for the 1 year period, October 2021 through October 2022, that my home was self-powered by solar 31% of the time, by Powerwall 24% of the time, and I drew 45% of my power from the grid. That means my home was self-powered a total of 55% of the time. So I'm taking the 45% from the grid for my home usage and applying that to my Model 3 charging, estimating that generally 55% of my Model 3 charging was powered by my solar and Powerwall, and 45% was powered by the grid. So taking 16 cents per kilowatt hour, multiplying it by 45%, we get 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour, or 8 cents per kilowatt hour. All right, so let's jump into the data now. We are at January 2022. You can see every slide here going forward. We're going to hit every month. We'll have 2 snapshots from the Charge Stats screen for each month, and then finally for the entire year of 2022. I had to do this because normally in the app you would scroll down to get to the gas savings, but in order to pin these both to the screen here, I just did 2 snapshots from each month. On the left, we'll see the total amount charged, the total spent the percentages of the charging, and then on the right hand snapshot we'll see the gas savings calculation, what the equivalent gas cost would have been, how much I spent in charging, and then how much I saved in gas savings. On the right we've got a table showing all of this data. So in January 2022 I used 160 kilowatt hours. I estimated 535 miles. I spent $13 on this charging, and that works out to be 2 cents per mile. Super cheap to drive an electric vehicle, especially when you have solar. 100% of my charging in January was home charging, and at 8 cents per kilowatt hour. I did not use any supercharging, work charging, or other charging. The estimated gas equivalent at $3.99 a gallon in January 2022 was $63 to drive a gas vehicle that same distance, or 11 cents per mile. So you can see here in January, it costs more than 5 times more to drive a gas equivalent vehicle than to drive my Model 3, which is home charged. That works out to be a $50 gas savings for the month. Moving on to February, I charged 285 kilowatt hours, an estimated 953 miles distance driven in the month. I spent $20 for that charging, and that works out to be 2 cents per mile. My home charging was 86%. I did do about 14% of supercharging, and that estimated cost per kilowatt hour for supercharging would have been 36 cents per kilowatt hour. However, I had a number of free supercharger mile credits remaining that I used for the month. This is a result of the referral program. The value of those would have been $14.04, but they ended up being free. No work charging, no other charging, $115 estimated gas equivalent at $4.14 per gallon, or 12 cents per mile for a gas vehicle to drive that same distance. My gas savings, $95 for the month, so we've nearly doubled what we saved in January. Hopefully you're already seeing a pattern here showing that the cost per mile of driving a Tesla or an EV using home charging stays relatively the same. As long as your utility costs stay the same, which they don't really shift all that much, then your cost will remain the same. However, the price of gas changes so quickly that we can see that it's already rising here in February. March 2022, 296 kilowatt hours charged, an estimated 989 miles, $24 spent, which works out to again be a steady 2 cents per mile. 100% of my charging was done at home. An estimated gas equivalent would have been $133 to go the same distance, or 13 cents per mile at $4.60 per gallon. Gas savings, $109. April 2022, 412 kilowatt hours charged, an estimated 1,378 miles driven. I spent $27 to drive that distance, which still works out to be 2 cents per mile. 81% of my charging was done at home, 19% was done at a supercharger. The estimated cost of supercharging would have been 33 cents per kilowatt hour. However, I still had a few more remaining supercharger credits from that referral. So it didn't cost me anything to supercharge, but the value was $25.90. No work charging or other charging. An estimated gas equivalent at $4.81 per gallon would have been $194, or 14 cents per mile. You can see that the price per mile is rising as we move towards summer gas prices. Gas savings of approximately $167 for the month. May 2022, total charge 378 kilowatt hours, estimated distance 1,264 miles, total spent $28, still holding 2 cents per mile. 86% of my charging was done at home, 11% was done at a supercharger. However, we were reaching the end of my free supercharging miles, so I did have to end up paying for 4 kilowatt hours here at 43 cents per kilowatt hour. So my total supercharging costs were $1.72 for the month of May. You can see on the right-hand screenshot that my supercharger bar has jumped up to $2. So they rounded up. no work charging, and 3%. This was done when we plugged in my Model 3 at a free EV charger at Topgolf here in the local area. Always nice to get free energy when you can get that. Estimated gas equivalent at $5.25 a gallon now, $194 or 15 cents per mile. Gas savings, $166. June 2022, 345 kilowatt hours charged, a estimated distance of 1,154 miles. I spent $28 for the month to charge, which was still 2 cents per mile. 100% of my charging was done at home, and the estimated gas equivalent at $5.71 per gallon was $193 or 16 cents per mile. My gas savings for the month, $165. All right, we've got a whole lot more data here showing up for the month of July, and the reason for that is because my Model 3 went into the Tesla body shop. Yes, if you haven't already seen the video, my Model 3 was involved in an accident. It wasn't my fault, and I've got all the details at the video linked above on that Tesla body shop repair. But my Model 3 was in the body shop from July 26th, 2022 until August 24th, 2022. And during that time, we had a Tesla Model Y rental. So we have almost double the data here as I just split all that out for you. I had 480 kilowatt hours charged to my Model 3, and then I estimated 148 kilowatt hours charged to the Model Y. I don't have that data because you would have to have the Tesla app for your Tesla rental, and unfortunately, when you get a Tesla rental, you do not get access to the app. You just get the key card. If you want to learn more about Tesla rentals, check out the link above, where I share with you a trip we did where we rented a Model 3 from Hertz. Total charge, though, for the month, 628 kilowatt hours, and I estimated that I drove my Model 3 1,605 miles on that amount of energy, and then 495 miles I drove the Model Y for a total of 2,100 miles. Total spent an estimated $76 from the Model 3 at 4 cents per mile. You can see that's ticking up because I've done a lot more supercharging in the month. We took several trips in July, including a trip out to Pittsburgh. So that's counting the average cost per mile for the combination of home charging, supercharging, and other charging. It cost me about $12 for charging the Model Y, and on an estimate for the last couple of days there of July, a total of $88 for the month and 4 cents per mile. 51% of my charging for my Model 3 was done at home. I don't have those details for the Model Y. It was rather difficult to calculate that. Supercharging, 31% for the Model 3 at 39 cents per kilowatt hour. No work charging, and 18% other charging. And this was mainly from 2 stops here. One was visiting a ChargePoint charger in Pittsburgh that had free charging, and then at an Airbnb we stayed at in New York State near the Catskills, we were able to charge our Model 3 plugged into the Airbnb for free. The estimated gas equivalent at $5.25 a gallon was $253 to drive the similar distance for just my Model 3. That's 1,605 miles. You can add $86 would be the gas equivalent to drive the 495 miles that I estimated my Model Y drove. And there's a total gas equivalent of approximately $339 for the month for driving both vehicles. There's a bit of estimation in there, and that's 16 cents per mile. The gas savings, a total of $177 if we include both the Model Y and Model 3 savings. And lastly, I wanted to show you how I estimated how much energy that my Model Y used charging at home. I took my total home usage for the month, which was 1,035 kilowatt hours, multiplied it by a 38% average of my total electric for the year. On average, 38% of that goes to charging, so I multiplied the monthly amount of electricity by 38%. Then I subtracted out my Model 3's usage for the month, 480 kilowatt hours times 51%. Again, because not all of the 480 miles were from home charging. So that's how I arrived at 148 kilowatt hours of home charging for the Model Y rental. And the cost of that is $11.84 based on the 8 cents per kilowatt hour. And I just rounded that up to $12. All right, August 2022, we still have the Model Y. In fact, we had the Model Y for most of the month. We didn't get our Model 3 back until August 24th from the Tesla body shop. So the total charged only 96 kilowatt hours to the Model 3, an estimated 383 miles of home charging for the Model Y, plus an estimated 165 kilowatt hours from my Model Y rentals supercharging. Looking at the snapshot here in the lower center, we can see the 1 month bill for the Model Y rental, and in here there is a cost that's called Tesla Rebill, and that Tesla Rebill of $64.17 is what Hertz was charged by Tesla for supercharging. Hertz takes that amount, turns it around, and charges it back to the customer. I was able to take that cost and calculate an estimated amount of kilowatt hours charged based on the average cost of 39 cents per kilowatt hour. We have a total of 644 kilowatt hours charged in the month. Estimated distances, 321 miles for Model 3, 1,280 miles for Model Y using home charging, and 552 miles for Model Y using supercharging, for a total of 2,153 miles estimated. I spent $7 to charge Model 3 and run it at 2 cents per mile, $31 to charge Model Y also at 2 cents per mile, and $64 to charge Model Y with supercharging. That works out to be 11 cents per mile. So quite a bit more expensive to charge a Tesla using only supercharging. That's why home charging is highly, highly recommended. On average, I paid 4 cents per mile at a total cost of $102 for the month. An estimated 76% of my charging was done at home, estimated 23% at supercharging, no work charging, and 1% of other charging, which was free, and I estimated that that was done when my Model 3 was at the Tesla body shop. The estimated gas equivalent would have been $44 for the similar miles of Model 3, or an estimated $326 to drive the same miles I drove with the Model Y rental, an estimated $370 for the month of August to drive an equivalent gas vehicle, those same 2,153 miles, or an average of 17 cents per mile. So again, significant savings by driving an EV. Gas savings, $37, just if we looked at the Model 3, but if we want to add in the savings for the Model Y, that's an extra $268. So nearly $300 in gas savings for the month of August. Supercharging rebill from Hertz, we talked about that, $64.17. And there's how I estimated my Model Y charging using my home charger for the month at around $31. Okay, moving on to September, 481 kilowatt hours charged for the month, 1,608 miles estimated. Spent a total of $61 to go that distance, or 3 cents per mile. Again, that's a little bit higher than the 2 cents per mile we've been seeing several months before, because we did do 22% of supercharging for the month, 34 cents per kilowatt hour for supercharging. 67% of my charging was done at home, and 11% done at my parents' home charger. Now, I installed a 1450 outlet at my parents' home. Take a look at the link above if you want to see more on that. And whenever I go visit my parents up in New York State, I can charge for free up there. Although my dad usually complains about how fast the electric meter is spinning when I'm charging. Estimated gas equivalent at $4.34 per gallon, $204 to drive the similar distance, or 12 cents per mile. Gas savings of $143. October 2022, 408 kilowatt hours charged, an estimated 1,364 miles driven, 100% of my charging done at home. Estimated gas equivalent for those same miles at $4.48 per gallon would have been around $178, or 13 cents per mile. I spent $33 to charge in October at 2 cents per mile, $145 in gas savings for the month. November 2022, 437 kilowatt hours charged, 1,461 miles estimated distance, I spent $35, and again, 2 cents per mile, 100% of my charging done at home. Estimated gas equivalent cost would have been around $190 at $4.46 per gallon, or 13 cents per mile. That works out to be. Gas savings of $155. You can see it's adding up quite a bit here as we move through the year. On to December, closing out 2022, 433 kilowatt hours charged, an estimated distance of 1,448 miles. I spent a total of $35 in charging my Model 3, 2 cents per mile. It works out to be 100% of my charging done at home. Estimated gas equivalent at $4.09 per gallon of $173, giving me a gas savings of $138 for the month. All right, finally, let's do the entire year totals. And this is likely what many of you have been patiently waiting for, unless you scrub through my video using my convenient chapters published in the description below. But here we go. Let's start out with total charged for January through December 2022, 4,230 kilowatt hours charged. Now, if you remember, I only drew just over 2,000 kilowatt hours from the grid. You can see there that a lot of my Model 3's charging was done via solar and Powerwall. Estimated distance for the year was 14,145 miles, which, if you remember from slide 4, is very close to my yearly mile calculation of 14,171, roughly within about 30 miles. I spent a total of $387 to charge my Model 3 during this time period, which still works out to an average for the year of 2 cents per mile. 86% of my charging was done at home for the year, 10% of my charging at superchargers, with an average of 23 cents per kilowatt hour over those multiple charging sessions. No work charging, thanks telework, and 4% at other charging areas, and they all worked out to be free. An estimated gas equivalent at $4.66 per gallon is $1,941 to drive a gas vehicle over 14,000 miles. That's 13 cents per mile, more than 6 times the cost of driving an EV for a year. So you can see here, I have saved $1,554 in gas savings by driving my Model 3 for the year. That's a huge, huge savings. What could you do with $1,500 back in your pocket? A lot, right? Probably even a mini vacation. And I just wanted to pass along here for the year, the average percent of my home usage for charging was 38%. Before we finish up, might as well add in the Model Y data. So here we are. I added another column for the Model Y rental. And with this information, we can see the additional gas savings. So for the Model Y rental, over the period of a month, I charged approximately 696 kilowatt hours, drove the Model Y 2,327 miles. Again, that's an estimate. I couldn't get the actual driving distance from the Model Y. It wasn't even on the bill. So I had to do an estimation there using the same calculation on the left. The estimated spend there for renting the Model Y was $107 in charging for that time period, or an average of 4 cents per mile. Again, a good chunk of that is supercharging, which is why it's more than the 2 cents per mile I averaged with the Model 3. Don't have the breakouts for the percent of charging, but my estimated gas equivalent at $4.66 per gallon for driving the same amount of miles I drove with the Model Y would have been an extra $424, or an average of 14 cents per mile. The gas savings by driving that Model Y rental was $531 in estimation. So combining the Model 3 and the Model Y rental, I've saved over $2,000 in gas savings for 2022. What's 2023 going to hold? I can only hope it's going to be at this level or better. Thanks for watching. If you really like this information, give me a like, hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos from Tesla Family, and leave a comment below if you have any questions or comments.
Thanks for watching the video. If you really liked it, make sure to subscribe to Tesla Family channel for free here on YouTube. We really appreciate all of our subscribers and everyone who watches our videos. If you have a question, leave a comment down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you soon. Check out all of our other videos and playlists. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Use my referral link when you order Tesla products like Tesla Solar Roof or solar panels or vehicles, and you can earn credits upon activation of your solar system or delivery of your vehicle that you can redeem for awards in the Tesla referral shop.